Quilters, and welcome once again to our Chatsworth Block of the Month. We are on block number 5. My name is Marcia and this is Joy, and we're coming to you here from Pine Needles Quilt and Sew in Rochester, Minnesota. So, exciting blocks ahead.
There are exciting blocks ahead.
You know, if you haven't got started yet, there's still plenty of time. These blocks are really quite easy to make, and it makes a stunning quilt that you can see that we have in the back. This is by Doug Leko. He's a Minnesota gentleman right here in our home state, and he has done this Chatsworth Block of the Month, and we get to debut it. We're the lucky ones that get to debut it here at Pine Needles. So we're going to go, there are plenty of recordings.
There are. We've already done 4, and they're out there for you to view and review.
And they are. And so if you're following along on YouTube, you're going to want to click the
video button to find them.
But also,
be sure to subscribe. Like and subscribe. We appreciate it.
We're not really technical that way, too. But then you'll know when the next block comes live again, and you can follow along. We do them every other Tuesday. And this is going to go through about the first part of January. Because we're going to put the whole thing together, so you've got plenty of time to catch up. The videos are all on YouTube. Also, I think on our Facebook, if you scroll down far enough, every other Tuesday, you will find them. So here we are. Let's get going on block number 5, shall we?
We shall. And just so you know, we're doing our blocks 3 different ways because, of course, Doug has done an outstanding job of designing and writing the pattern, but we have given you some other options for constructing and cutting. So here we go.
So in the book that's going to be coming out later on, first part of the year, I believe, if you sign up here for our block of the month and you get the kit, you'll have a nice printed pattern inside of it, but then later on, when the book is out of print, you'll be the first one to get a signed copy from Doug. So in the book, even though you're going along with us on the quilt, there's some additional projects that you're going to want to make besides this quilt too.
Right.
So let's take a look at block number 5, and we're going to give you 3 different ways to make this. So the traditional block as it is right out of the book, and you'll have the printed instructions for you. And then we're going to do one using rulers, different kinds of rulers, and then also Joy is going to show you how to use the AccuQuilt to do these blocks. And I'm just going to go through some of the cutting of the traditional and show you how that goes, and then she's going to use the AccuQuilt, and then she's going to give you the sewing instructions as well. So let's get started. We'll start with the traditional block number 5, and these are the instructions exactly how they're printed on your pattern. If we're going to come down here for a sec.
There you go.
All right, so you'll just follow. This is the block, and every single block uses 4 different colors and then a background fabric. You could do a scrappy background if you would like to. I know on our Kansas Troubles we used a scrappy background, but you would just cut whatever you wanted. You know, I probably would use 4 different colors of background, or maybe I would on the Kansas Troubles, maybe I would use the same background on one block and then use the other so they're all the same. This is your quilt. You do what you want to. So anyways, you're going to cut, so the background fabric's here just exactly like it tells you to cut so many squares of this size, and I'm not going to give you the instructions now because you really do need to buy the kit and do, or the book to do this. And then you're going to cut these rectangles and these squares. And so what they have you do here is for this block here, this is called a parallelogram.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And they're going to have you lay this, and maybe I'm going to set this up here and show you down here.
I'll get your cutter out here for you.
And you're going to lay this on here. Actually, this one first is what I always do. Now, you can, before you put this on here, you can draw a line with this Creative Grids. Goes from edge to edge, and then you can just kind of draw your lines in here. What I found the best absolute thing to use on these ones, and I have the big one. Now this is Doug's Simply Folded Corners ruler. And this is so darn simple. You do it this way. You simply line it up, and it doesn't really matter. I didn't have the little one at home. There is a little one and then this big one. Now, if I would have, well, I have one, but I brought it to the store. But I would have used this one. But this one worked equally as well. I had this one at home. So what you can see here is we're just lining up this line, this solid line from this tip to this tip. And then I line up these, and it doesn't matter where it is. And then you're simply going to cut this off just like that. This can be discarded, or if you love the little tiny half square triangles, you can take this to your sewing room for a bonus half square triangle. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to sew from here to here to make these blocks. And then of course those will go together like this. And then you go and you take another one and you do the same thing on the other side, making sure that they are the same. And he uses a lot of these. Whoops, turn it around. He uses a lot of these blocks, and this just makes it so easy. No marking. Honestly, this is way faster to do it this way than the other way. These would again be discarded, and then you're going to take these to your sewing machine and sew these together like this so that you get all of these 4 pieces here. Now, for these half square triangles, he has you take 2 of these, and this doesn't look like the right size, but is it? No, this one's a little bit bigger, but let's pretend that this is, these 2 are exactly the same. Anyways, what you're going to do then is cut this down, either mark it like this, and sew on both sides. Or you can cut this down with this ruler too, and then just take the 2 half square triangles to your sewing machine and do it. Or always, if you're going to do a pencil mark, you're going to do it on the light side so you can see it. So that is what makes these half square triangles. So you're going to get 2 from each set of these. And and then you're just simply going to sew these together in 4 pieces and then sew them together that way. So that is the traditional method of doing it, using Doug's rulers, using Doug's traditional method, and all you need is a straight ruler to cut your pieces. And that's in that ruler set that we talked about earlier in one of the other blocks. So this is traditional piecing. So then let's move on to using these rulers. So this is a half square and a quarter square triangle ruler. So this is the half square triangle ruler, and this is the quarter square. Yep, they're big, but you see how these go together like this to make a flying goose, or many, many, many other things. So this is a great set of rulers to have. There are other brands, you may have them. I think there's easy angle rulers and some other things too. But now this one I used, this one block number 5 is using a jelly roll. So I used a print jelly roll, and then I also used a solid color. This is a Moda Grunge paper white jelly roll. So let's go back down here again and look at this. And same block. I will tell you that I found, now it might be because I did the traditional piecing first, so it was better in my brain of how this all goes together, but I felt that this one was easier to do just for me. So using your strips, once again, we need to make these half square triangles. And I'm just going to demonstrate this again really quick, how to do that with this particular ruler.
Oops, sorry.
That's okay.
I moved your blade out of the way.
It's all right. And so I'll just straighten up this edge, and I've got 2 together here, so I'll cut 2 at a time. You can cut more layers, whatever you feel comfortable doing. And then with this particular ruler, you're going to line it up, so half square, you can see half square right here, so it's right side up, and you're going to move this over to the line, the size of your strip, and of course this one is a 2.5-inch strip. So as you can see, there's a little corner here. This is your notch. So you'll see it's going to be blend edge. So you just line things up like that, and then you're simply going to cut, and now we have 2 half square triangles done. And watch this. Now I showed this on the other one as well. You simply flip this ruler over, you line it up again so that this edge here is straight, and you've got this straight line across the top, and you will see here, I'm going to stick this under here. This is hanging off 1/4 of an inch. So if you've got it straight up here, yes, you're going to have this little piece on the bottom hanging out, and you're simply going to cut again. So, and you're going to just keep flipping. Whoa. You're just going to keep flipping and cutting all the way down. Easy, easy peasy way to make half square triangles. And then you will see that they go together really very nicely. And I always start sewing. No, Joy's going to do the sewing thing, but I always start sewing on the blunt end.
Me too, Marcia.
Because we know that that is where the 1/4 inch seam begins, right here, and sew all the way down. Okay, so now this one is using the same method that we did before with the with this ruler. Here's the small ruler this time. You just line it up on this side. Nope.
Put it up. Put your block on the top. White block on the top always. Vertical. Or that way works
There.
too.
And you line up this this line, the solid line along here, and then you'll cut here, and then you'll do it again on the other side, just like I demonstrated on the traditional. This is a great, great ruler. I don't know, I just really got into, I love this little size, but I feel for me, this one is easier to read because things are a little bit bigger. So whatever you think, I have them both. I love them both. Okay, so this is block number 5.
I'll put that up there for you.
Okay, and you can see that then they're put together like a big old 4 patch. You're going to sew these to the half square triangles, the parallelograms, and then you're going to arrange them like this. So you've got the pinwheel in the middle, and you sew them together like a great big 4 patch.
Yes.
Yay! So this is the one using the jelly rolls, and the other one was using traditional cutting methods, just like it is here in the pattern. And you can see in the pattern, this one has 2 pages to it. You just follow along.
Exactly. And there's excellent pressing instructions in Doug's pattern as well.
There are. I'm going to shut my blade.
All right. So I use AccuQuilt to create my block, and I went a little different route. I'm using all reds and greens and a same background in each. Not that you needed all that detail, but the AccuQuilt cutter, and I'm probably going to have to infringe on Marcia's space a little
You
bit.
sure can.
I'm using the Go Me cutter, and for this one, we will need dies number 5 and 7. And I did bring, let me just see here if we can see. I'm going to have to, Marcia's going to crank for me.
Okay, I can.
So this is
Did you call me a crank?
No, I did not call you a crank. So what I want to point out here is that this is not straight to the die, and I have folded my background strips over, and my technique is just to line it up with the light gray, give it a little shift. We're going to put the plastic on top. You're going to give it a crank towards the other way. There you go.
Just crank it through.
Easy peasy. And you can do up to 6 layers of fabric at one time in here. We're going to give it a little magical rub. And my background half square triangles, I have 8 of them perfectly cut. So that saves time cutting wise. I have a little waste, but I could have, minimized it, but it doesn't matter. That little bit's going to end up in the garbage anyway.
You're going to have some scraps left over anyway. You can't obsess over those.
You cannot.
Because look at how perfect these are.
And both ends had their dog ears trimmed off, which is really a nice thing. So in the assembly process, there is the die to cut the parallelograms. That's number 7. And it's important when you cut these. Now you're only making 1. I had to make 2 for our demonstration today. But when you're cutting parallelograms, make sure that all the fabric is facing the same direction. You can't have some up and some down because you're going to get opposite cutting effects, and make sure you put it on right. That is my tip of the day for cutting those.
And how do you know this?
I know. I have cut opposites.
And then wonder why they don't fit together.
Right, exactly. So then the next thing is that when Marcia and I are piecing, she said she starts at the blunt end, as do I. This time I was smart and I sewed with a contrasting color, but we always start at the blunt tip and then we chain piece, meaning we stop with our needle down and then we just put the next piece underneath, and that prevents the little wibbly wobbly at the top and the end of each piece, and we keep on going. Now the other thing is we press using our styluses or our finger. I generally start in the middle and go one way, in the middle and go the other way. That way I'm not stretching my diagonal edge all one direction. So in the middle that way, in the middle that way, super fast, makes it nice and flat.
And then we do our final pressing
with the iron, yes.
At one of the blocks all together.
Right, exactly. So here is 2 of the half square triangle units, and I just want to show that you're going to go ahead and sew them together, and you want to pay attention when you get down here. One of the reasons we have the stylus in our hand, and it's maybe hard to see in the film, but as I approach this seam, sometimes bulk causes this to want to distort. So I don't use this really to help push my fabric through, but I do help it to use it to guide the fabric so that this doesn't go this way or go that way. I just gently use this to keep it tracking straight under my machine, because
instead of using a pin.
A pin.
And these time-saving tips are going to save you a lot of time.
Okay, next up, I'm going to just hold this piece up. So you have to, of course, sew those parallelogram pieces, and I'll show you how to lay those pieces out in a minute. They go to your half square triangles. And what I want to point out to you is the point that I feel is most important in matching this up. So let's have a look at this. So here is my parallelogram piece finished, and I put the pin here just to remind me what point that is important in this square. So you would of course start sewing here, but as you approach this center area here, you have to pay attention that this isn't sneaking down here and the one underneath isn't sneaking, because when I pull this pin out, and I did not use a pin while sewing, you want your seam to go just a hair's breadth on this side of this half square triangle, so that when you press it open, your seams are perfectly aligned in the middle. And of course I would then, when I'm all done, I will give that a little steam, or in the meanwhile I give my finger press, and then that will press out nice and straight. And let's bring that one back over here, Marcia. So here we have everything all together. I'm going to flip it over to show the back. And again, anytime you have a bunch of seams intersecting where visually it matters, just pay attention and make sure that the seam you're adding doesn't end up on the wrong side of the tracks. You want it to just kiss the other side of the seam so that when it's pressed, it lays nicely. I could have pressed this seam open. I chose not to. Everything lays beautifully and matches up. And then the final press, as Marcia and I said, we do those at the very end because steam and heat can distort your angled pieces as you're going. And honestly, it's just much more relaxing and faster to use the power of your thumbnail or some sort of pressing tool like
you can just get a lot more accomplished if you have only 15, 20, 30 minutes to sew, if you're not running back and forth to the iron. And honestly, it does a better job. You really have by waiting till the end to iron.
Yes, and Marcia and I, we accomplish a lot every month.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up, although she did mention, of course, that you want to make sure if you're just joining us, be sure to pick up a kit if you haven't done so. And then the Chatsworth paper piecing tablets are in stock. We'd be happy to ship them to you. So if you didn't order them the first time around, we will be using them at the end.
Yep, so those are for these half square triangle, these flying geese on each side of the star. So, and by the way, did I say that this one's the one colored in the batiks?
You did not, so now's a good time.
This is the batik colored kit, and it has one batik, kind of a bluish, whitish background, and then assorted batiks, but very, very beautiful. So you see what we're doing here, again, is just the 8.5 inch blocks in the middle, and then later on, we're going to show you how to encase everything in a beautiful, beautiful star, and then make these.
Exactly. And I'll pull out the sewing machine when we get to that time to show you the whole process step by step.
But that is winter time.
It'll winter time.
So every other Tuesday we're here with another block. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll wrap this up for today.
And again, we're from Pine Needles Quilt and Sew in Rochester, Minnesota.
And we'll see you back here for block number 6.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, everybody.